Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff back again. I figured I'd go ahead and make this video at the same time. This is basically a follow-up / connection to my record store day video, only because I'm going to be discussing the things I got at the store that I bought the record store day material at. So as I mentioned in that video, as most of you have known if you've watched the past couple of videos, I'm in a new location temporarily for a few more weeks in South Carolina. I'm in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. And so there's no record stores or anything here, but I am right in between Charleston and Columbia. I'm in the middle of those areas, and so I have to go one way or the other. One's like 40 minutes away, one's about over an hour away. And so this past weekend we did go down to Charleston, and that's where I bought the stuff at record store for record store day. I went to a place called Record Stop. Interesting thing about this is you see it says Charleston and Long Island. When I lived in Long Island in the mid-90s, I used to go to Record Stop all the time. So when I saw this on the map, I'm like, that's neat. That kind of sounds like the same place we should go to in New York. And then I looked it up and I read about it. Turns out the guy was in New York, and at some point, the store there is still there in New York, but at some point, one of the guys that helped start the store or something moved to Charleston and opened a store down there. I don't know exactly when he opened. It's established in 1974, but that's the original. But I'm not sure when that happened. I'm not sure. I mean, the guy who runs the store down there, who I did talk to, I didn't ask him. We just talked in passing. Maybe I've seen him before. Maybe he was there in the 90s when I was there. I don't know. But so we went down there. It's right dead in the middle of Charleston, like the town, like on the street. And you got people. It was crowded up and down the street. You know, it was like right in the middle of the little town where you've got all the shops everywhere, and here's boom, record store. Whereas the other store that I went to later, also in Charleston, was a little more out on its own. It wasn't as right in the middle of the city. And so we went there. I went there, and the place was packed, and it was a small little place as far as you had to like squeeze by each other, you know, to get on the aisles. But it was packed. I mean, and this was like Friday evening. It had to be, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, way past typical record store day time frames. But the place was packed, so they had a lot of people in there, and a lot of stuff. So, my wife dropped me off, and then they went shopping somewhere else. I had to meet them up later. Had to walk a mile to the city to find them down at the marketplace. But anyway, so I went in. The first thing that hit me was right when you get in there. There was a bunch of used records for sale. That were like super sale or something like that. And so I was flipping through those, and the first things I found was Freehand by Gentle Giant. These were all under $10, and I thought, and they were in great condition. I figured Gentle Giant, if you're not familiar with them, 70s prog band. A lot of the prog bands that you listen to nowadays say that they're influenced by Gentle Giant, but they're going to be along the lines of early Genesis, early Yes, the early stuff in the 70s. So lots of interesting vocal harmonies and layered vocals and stuff on their albums. You remember a few videos ago I picked up their live album at the Papa Jazz store. And so he goes to studio album. I've only got a couple studio albums, but I didn't have this one, Freehand. And I also picked up Interview, another one by Gentle Giant. Again, both of them were in the super sale bin. Both of them were in great condition. And so I figured I'd go ahead and pick those up. I won't open them up much. The inner sleeves are a little rough there at times. But anyway, so I grabbed these couple real quick there. Then I started going through, and I realized that this store is very similar to the store that I have in my town in Virginia where they sell the unofficial releases. He had a lot of the unofficial releases. A lot of the, what you might call bootlegs, unofficial releases, whatever. He had them all marked as imports, which is, they are imports. They come from other places. And I noticed his prices were quite a bit cheaper than the place that I buy from. So they had all the stuff that the warrants, bootleggy type stuff, the Rat stuff, lots of Kiss stuff, lots of Iron Maiden stuff, lots of, who else I see there? They had the Wasp stuff, just all the stuff that I bought at various times in the past they had. The only one that I did pick up was I went ahead and grabbed the Wicked Lester ones. This one's not too terribly long ago. I saw this at the store that I go to in my town, and it's, I forget, it was really expensive there. And at this place, it wasn't as expensive. And so, it's got a little OB strip there. So Wicked Lester, of course, if you're not familiar, That is, I don't know why they got a picture of Kiss inside it. It makes sense, but so Wicked Lester was the band that Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons did. They recorded an album and didn't really go anywhere, and they basically broke from the band and started a new band, which we later know to be called Kiss. This was the early days before all the makeup. Gene's dressed in drag with blondish hair, and Peter's got eyelash. They all kind of look like they're in drag. Paul's in drag. They're all kind of dressing quirky, but before the makeup. So anyway, one or two of these songs, Love Her All I Can, some of these songs later transferred over into becoming Kiss songs, She, but some of the other ones didn't, Sweet Ophelia. But anyway, so Wicked Lester, I have multiple versions of this, I guess, in the past, CDs and things like that, but this was the first vinyl edition. And again, it wasn't super expensive as it can be, like at the store that I go to. It's a little more expensive there. It's on a marble yellow and black. It's a couple different colors out there. Let's go ahead and grab that. So that was the only unofficial release, because again, you could spend an arm and a leg buying all those. And well, I say that's the only unofficial release. The other thing that I got, which I had no idea what it was, and I couldn't get my phone to look it up properly at first to see what it was, but Family Annoys by Adam and the Ants. I'm like, I've never seen this before. And I looked it over. It's very much, so the cover, this picture has been used on the B-Sides Baby album, which is a CD that came out that had all the B-Sides hits that he has done. And I'd love to get that on vinyl, because I think that's been released, but probably in an unofficial status. This one has a bunch of songs, some of which I'm familiar with from not only B-Sides Baby, because it has B-Side Baby on it, but also like Christian Dior. Some of these songs, Whip in My Valise, they were songs that were the B-side of singles. But there's some other ones I'd never heard of before, or had not heard of in the mainstream, I should say. I came back home and did a little more research after I got it. But it says, copyright 1978, recorded in London, 1978. Some of the songs I was very familiar with, some of them not so much. I opened it and I'm like, I should pick this up. I mean, it's like pristine condition, which at first I'm like, 1978. I guess it's not impossible, but everything is like felt new. Everything. It's on black. Everything. It's like brand new, but of course it's in not sealed or anything. Finally, I was able to look it up to find out that it was actually released in the UK in 2010. There's not a date of anything other than 1978. I don't get the impression that this is a 1978 album that was repressed in 2010. So I don't know why everything is like that. Did find out that the majority of these were from the Decca demos of 1978. The Ant Box album, the CD Ant Box album that's got like the best of and lots more, including demos, has the majority of the Decca demos on it. I think maybe a couple of these songs were not on that. So I did find that I had most of these songs, the Decca demo version, on the Ant Box CDs. This is the first time and only time I could find online where these songs were on vinyl. They may have appeared on singles, but I didn't even find anything on Discogs showing that some of these were on singles. So I don't know if some of these just were not released on vinyl back in the day. I don't know what they were released on, but just a couple of them. But either way, it's in great condition. It's got the whole look and feel of the first Adam and the Ants album, the whole black and white. And there's a bunch of songs on here that, again, I don't have on vinyl. I have, as far as I know, cannot find that they have been. Also found out there have been quite a few albums like this released in the UK, quote-unquote unofficial releases, in the 2010s. There were some 2010s, some 2014s. Lots of cool stuff, including concerts and things like that. So now I'm looking out for some of those, because that would be really cool. The early days are just some of the great stuff, and I love the first album days and all of that. So I am very interested to check this out, even though, like I say, a lot of those songs, not all of them, but I think not all of them, but a lot of those songs I do have in CD format. And then the great find of the day, as far as I'm concerned, the actual just typical, not unofficial release, is Black Hearts and Jaded Space by Tokyo Blade. An album I never have ever, I don't see anything Tokyo Blade in the wild. And if you do see it, it's going to be the first and second album, which are the ones that I do have. I was into them back when the first and second album came out. You know, they changed singers and went on, and this is the third album, I believe. And I have all of these on digital. Some of them on CD, but I've just never really seen any of these out and about on vinyl. So when I saw this, I'm like, yes, and it wasn't a horrible price or anything. It's a gatefold. It was in great condition. So this was the main thing. I picked this up right after the Gentle Giants. Then I finally went back and got the Kiss and the Adam and the Ant stuff. And like I said, there was a lot more there, but I didn't want to overspend too much. And I already had the Record Store Day stuff on top of this, so I still spent a chunk of money. But this was my highest score at Record Store that day. I just don't think there was not much else that jumped out at me. But I went through the store. I had unlimited time for the most part, and I think I went through the majority of the stuff they have there. And they have a lot of great stuff there. I would love to be local to that, but this is what I came away with. So I'm really thrilled about this and the Adam and the Ants. So I was, really excited to check out this sister store of the one in Long Island. So if you're ever in Charleston, South Carolina, go check out Record Stop. If you're in Long Island, check out Record Stop. We were supposed to be going to Long Island a month or two ago, where my wife's mother lives. But then that big storm blew through the East Coast, and it looked like it was going to hit us at the day we were leaving, meaning we would be driving 9 hours to Long Island through this entire storm. It was a tropical storm, and it was going to follow us, and it kind of did. It never really hit Virginia, but it ended up going all the way up and wiping out and flooding a lot of Long Island where my mother-in-law is. So we ended up not going, but I had already mapped out my scores of let's go to Record Stop and let's go to some of my old places if they still exist. But that's it for this one. Little fun in Charleston, South Carolina at the Record Stop. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Rock on and rock on.